Okay, everybody, hello and welcome to today's topic, preparing to sell in today's market. I'm Rob Wachter. I am a licensed broker, realtor in North and South Carolina. I am the president of the Wachter Realty Group and co-owner of the firm JP and Associates Realtors, or JPAR Carolina Living here in Charlotte. And I am here to talk to you today about selling a house in today's market. I am here in partnership with Sparrow Living and their brands Mira, Solea, and Sage, who are terrific resort-style active adult apartment communities, and I appreciate their invitation to speak to you today. A little bit about me. I've been a licensed realtor since 2004. In 2012, I got my SRES designation, which I'll talk about in a little bit. Founded the Wachter Group in 2013. Last year, I became a partner in the firm that I am with. I lead a team of real estate agents that serve the Charlotte, North Carolina, and surrounding areas, and my practice specializes specifically in clients that are 50 and older and the specific and usual needs that they have in their housing situations. I've served on the Charlotte area MLS committee in a leadership role in a training and mentor program in my firm. I do live here in the Charlotte area with my 6 children. Actually, most of them are grown now, and 4 grandchildren. All right, I want to start by saying today, if you are watching this, or even if you're watching it later, we'd love to hear questions. If you have anything that comes up that you'd either like me to speak to today or like to answer offline later, you can either submit a question on Facebook now and it will get to me. You can email me at rob@thewachtergroup.com, or feel free to call or text me now or later with any questions that you might have. All right, let's get started. So when you're preparing to sell your home, a lot of folks really not sure where to start. And what I've found is that starting with just the thought process, your mindset, and even the language that you use can really help. A lot of times you'll hear people use the word downsizing. And though sometimes that's physically accurate, I'm not really a big fan of that. It's just not a positive thing to say. We prefer things like right sizing. As in fact, as you can see from this slide, right sizing doesn't always, downsizing and right sizing are not always the right thing. And as you're touring around and you're looking at places, we've seen many people that have moved into bigger places that are just organized differently. We work with a number of people that we see that realize when they go to sell their house, they've been living in the kitchen, the bedroom, and the living room. And even though they might have 3,000 square feet, they're not utilizing it to their best potential. So as you're going around touring some of these apartment communities, don't get carried away. There is plenty of luxury room in these places. Okay. So when you are beginning to move, one of the first things I recommend is choose your realtor. Your realtor will be your partner through this entire process, and it is far more than just simply putting a sign in the yard. When you work with a realtor, they will help you plan, get ready to execute the sale, negotiate it, close it, and all of the things that come up afterwards. So you want a realtor that's got strong experience in training. There are various levels of service that real estate agents provide, and that's why sometimes comparing prices or commissions among real estate agents isn't a valid thing to do, because some provide much greater amounts of service than others. Some have costs wrapped in. Sometimes a discount broker might sound like they're a good deal until you get the bill for staging and photography and things like that. You want to make sure they've got strong industry credentials. I always recommend working with full-time realtors. In today's market, there are a lot of part-time people out there. And part-time realtors just aren't getting the experience and the ongoing training in day-to-day world that they need to be as effective as a full-time realtor. You want to decide whether to work with an individual or a team. The advent of teams in today's market has been really important, because as things get busier and as the market gets tightened, and you may have heard of multiple offers and how quickly it's important to quickly get out and look at properties, working with just one individual agent can be a problem, because if they have 3 clients that all want to buy properties at the same time, 2 of them are going to be underserved. which is why teams have become such a big deal, because they have multiple people that can help you, specialize in different parts of the transaction, and you always get the service that you deserve. Most importantly, you want to find someone that just fits with your personality, because there are some great realtors out there that just wouldn't work well with you, and vice versa. And for those of you that may not have sold your house in a while, years ago, you would want to hire a realtor that would find the buyer for your house. You wanted one that would know the most people and do the hardest work finding your buyer. In today's world, our roles have really changed. Since everyone knows what houses are for sale because of the internet, our biggest role is in helping you prepare the house, market the house, and negotiate the deal to make sure you get the best transaction. I mentioned earlier that I was an SRIM and SRES. That stands for Seniors Real Estate Specialist. And what that means is I've been awarded by the National Association of Realtors that designation because of additional training and experience that I have. By earning that designation, a realtor has knowledge and experience to counsel clients that are 50 and up through major financial and lifestyle transactions that are different than just your average everyday young couple. SRESs are also connected to a network of realtors throughout the country. So if you know someone that you trust in one market and you have a need in another market, you can reach out to them to get advice on who would work in your particular market. The other thing I highly recommend is to always spend time with your agent, interviewing them in person. Now, in today's online and COVID world, it might be a little harder, but this is a relationship you're going to have a long time. So I really strongly recommend spending some time getting to know your agent, because looks can be deceiving. And you want to make sure that you're working with a professional whose business is real estate. So one of the first questions that people need to ask themselves when making this decision to move, especially into one of their last moves, into an active adult community, maybe selling the house that they've been in for 20 or 30 years. So should you sell first or should you move first? And there's a lot of factors that go into that decision. Financial planning is certainly one consideration. Some people cannot take the risk of making a move until they've got the equity from the sale of a house. Other people have the ability to make the next move without necessarily liquidating their house first. The amount of time your house might take to sell is part of that equation. The time of year and the competition is important to consider. And of course, there's the stress and the cost of temporary housing. If your apartment's not ready and suddenly the house sells quickly, what do you do? Or do you have family options? Do you have family members that you could stay with while some things are in storage? So these are important questions to talk to your realtor about. So if you do list the house after you move, there are certain very distinct benefits to that. You'll have more time to pack and prepare to move, of course. You'll have more time to clean and make needed repairs. You won't have to worry about the hassle of buyers coming in and out of the house. And of course, your realtor doesn't want you to be home when the house is being shown. So it could mean coming in and out of the house with pets and things like that over and over again. Of course, when the house is packed up and either empty or staged, it looks more spacious, typically more neutral. Neutral is important. People ask me, why is neutral important? And I tell them that's because people don't want to buy your home. They want to come visit you in your home. When they are buying a house, they want it to be their home. So if they feel like they're visiting you because your decor is there, your family photos are there, people have a harder time connecting and seeing that as their future home. And of course, if your house is already empty and you've moved, the ability to close quickly improves your negotiating position if someone has to make a quick move. Now, the steps for preparing the house for sale. First thing to do is consider pre-packing and decluttering. It sounds simple in a single sentence, but we know that this is one of the hardest parts of the process for people. You may have spent anywhere from 10 to 30 or more years in a house with all of your belongings. And what we're finding in today's world is that the majority of younger people, your children, typically don't actually want all the stuff that you've been saving for them over the years. I know that happened with me and my parents, and I'm absolutely seeing it with my children. They're living in smaller homes and they have a less of an attachment to the stuff. So it's really important to get that packed and decluttered during the process, because it will make your house look easier, and it will help so much with the mindset of selling the house. As you can see, this is an example of before and after decluttering. If you were a buyer, which room would you feel was more usable and more livable to you? And the good news is this is not something that you have to do all by yourself. Some people choose to work through this with their families, and there are a number of professional agencies that help with decluttering and move management. In fact, I think Sparrow had one of those specialists on last week as a guest from Caring Transitions, a fantastic organization that does tremendous work with people, saving them a lot of stress and a lot of money in the process of decluttering. The next thing to do when preparing your house is consider repairs. A lot of people get overwhelmed with repairs, especially when your house has been, might have been 20, 30, 40 years old, and there might be repairs that are needed. And if you watch HGTV or you listen to the wrong real estate agent, you might have someone come in and tell you a whole long list of all the expensive things that you need to do to make your house worth more money. Well, some of those things may be true, but some of them may not be. What we have found is that repairs, when things are broken, are important. You want to fix what's broken. Remember, if it looks broken, it is broken to a buyer. And that is particularly important when considering maybe some homemade temporary repairs that you may have made over the years that may even have lasted years. If it doesn't look right, the buyer's going to be concerned and consider that as deferred maintenance. Remember, repairs need to be done well, but not necessarily expensively. When you get into negotiations later, if a buyer asks you to make repairs, they'll often ask you to use a licensed general contractor or a licensed plumber. In most cases, most repairs can be done adequately by a handyman. There's some exceptions, of course. We really strongly recommend roofing, foundation, and HVAC work to be done by licensed professionals. Remember, if you have a defect in your house that you are aware of, and you do not choose to fix it before selling the house, then you may have to disclose that to potential buyers depending on state law where you are. Cosmetic items that remain after repair can be very important as well. If you have a leak in the roof, and it may be something very simple that you fixed years ago that's no longer a problem. But if you have a stain in the drywall on the ceiling in one of your bedrooms, that's going to throw off alarms to a potential buyer and an inspector, and can create questions in the appearance of deferred maintenance. Best to paint things over like that, use a little bit of primer, whatever is needed to make the already repaired area look good and completed. And remember, repairs often return more in your actual net contract price than their cost. When someone considers a repair, not only do they consider the cost of that repair, but the risk in having to wait to make that repair, as well as the perception of what else might be wrong with this house if there's deferred maintenance. I better pay less money for this. So getting repairs done early on are crucial. There are some improvements in maintenance items that will return higher return on investment than others. And some of this really depends on the situation. I strongly encourage you to work with your specific real estate agent and your specific house to get these answers. But a fresh paint coat throughout the house can very often brighten things up, make things neutral, and make things look clean and ready to go. Sometimes carpet does need to be replaced, especially if it's quite dirty, very old or worn, or particularly if it's holding odors. Real estate agents have a saying, if we can smell it, we can't sell it. So it's important, especially if you've had pets or had smoking go on in the house over the years. Some of these things are really important and will return a high return on investment. Gutter cleaning and shrub and tree trimming maintenance is important. It will make the curb appeal look better, and it will make the house appear to be maintained well. Fresh paint, sometimes simply on the front door, maybe the garage door, and some shutters can really aid the curb appeal. And pressure washing, I'm a big fan of. pressure washing your house, your decks, your driveways, and your walkways can really clean things up and make it, again, look like it's a clean and livable house. Move in ready for a potential buyer, which will make the price be better. And window glass replacement is a touchy thing. It comes up on a lot of inspection reports, especially when we have a window with what's called a broken thermal seal. The thermal seal is really not a functional problem in a window when it's broken. And you may see little clouds on corners of the window to indicate that that's happened. It loses a small amount of its R value. However, the cloud can cloud the entire piece of glass, and especially if you have a picture window or a transom window that's very visible and it is not attractive, replacement of that glass is going to provide a good return on investment. There are some improvements that have particularly low returns on investment. Getting the house ready to sell is not the time to remodel a bathroom or remodel a kitchen, replace a deck, or do major whole house updates. Typically, you are going to get back 75 cents on the dollar of these types of repairs, if not less. And also you run the risk of picking choices of styles and colors that a buyer might not like and actually limiting the potential buyers that might want to see your house. Next thing on our list would be staging your house for sale. This is another topic that has come up with HGTV and all of the amazing TV shows we see and all the magic that happens to houses to make them look ready to sell. And that's certainly a good thing to do if it's appropriate for you. But there's three types of staging that I want to talk about today. There's full staging, there's soft staging, and there's virtual staging, and they each have a place in the market. Full staging happens to supplement the basics of the house, potentially renting new furniture and new decor, new window treatments and linens, and potentially being used for a vacant house. That can absolutely make your home look like a model home and significantly improve the market value of your home. However, it does come at the highest cost. It can often be thousands of dollars a month to rent the necessary materials and have the professionals decorate your house that way. Soft staging is becoming very popular. It is where you do a lot of decluttering, pre-packing, and organizing your belongings. And then we, or a stager that's professional, helps you reuse your own decor to rearrange the way the house looks to improve it. And I've got examples of these in a second. And the third is virtual staging. And this is, I don't want to use the programs, I don't want to say that we use the program Photoshop because we don't. But that's something that maybe a lot of people would understand is essentially we take pictures of empty rooms and we add decor that makes the furniture or it makes the home look furnished via the computer. And that is very low cost and very flexible. I'll show you some pictures. This picture is an example of soft staging of a room before and after. This costs nothing to do other than a few minutes of time. And in about 20 minutes, this room was changed from the room that you see on the left, which is the room you want to go visit your friends in and sit and relax in, to the much wider open, more spacious and elegant room on the right. This is an example of full staging and how you can add, even close the doors on the right-hand side there to the double doors. You can add decor and furniture. That shows people what the room looks like lived in and can add an elegant touch. Final example is virtual staging. The picture on the left is what the room looked like both before and after the virtual staging. The picture on the right is what happens after decor is added. It gives it a really lived-in, comfortable look. And your realtor will often look to this to use both pictures in the advertising. We want to make sure that we properly represent what the home is and how we're doing it, and having both pictures available to buyers helps them see what a home could be. The last step of the process in getting ready to sell is the professional photography and video. This is so important in marketing your house. I'm going to talk about it for a few minutes. A lot of people hear how good iPhones are today and how there's all sorts of filters and you can do panoramic pictures and things like that. And while that is certainly true, an unskilled person taking pictures of a home can do it real injustice. You certainly want to make sure that the home is properly decluttered and prepared during the pictures, but you also want to make sure you use the right angles, the right lighting, the right type of lenses in the camera. Sometimes even the right filters to filter sunlight and shadows out. And you want to make sure that you're even using the right time of day to take pictures often. This is an example of a home that we worked with that was on the market for many, many months, and it did not sell. And when we took over the marketing of that house, we changed a lot of things, but one of which was the quality of the advertising photos. As you can see, which of these two photos would make you feel like you wanted to go see this house? This is another example of how this house was on the market for 9 months. It was vacant, and the pictures all looked pretty much like the one on the left. We took over the marketing of this house and did new pictures. We didn't even stage this house, but we raised the price $10,000 and we sold it in the first weekend. That's just how important proper photography is to selling your house. These are some less than ideal pictures that are actual MLS photos. Now, these could be that were done at home by the seller. These could be someone from a discount brokerage, but clearly these are not photos that are going to do a lot of favors to selling a house for top dollar. These are examples of pictures that, when used in properly cleaned and staged rooms, show wide open examples of living space that are clean and that are attractive. Attention to detail is very important. And I love the saying, less is more. And that is very true in decor and furniture in home photos. Virtual tours and 3D models are becoming very important, especially in our COVID-19 world. It used to be that buyers would go out and look at tens, if not 20, 30 houses at a time. We'd have lots of open houses to go to, and people would just keep looking at houses until they found the right one. Now, in some places, there are restrictions. In some places, you certainly just want to be sensitive to sellers and not have a lot of people traipsing through their houses. And a lot of buyers don't want to go out and interact with a lot of people these days. We have the technology now to provide virtual showings without someone being on site. It allows showings without the buyer present and can be done in a number of different ways. It can be done via a recorded showing, a guided tour by an agent, 3D modeling, or virtual video. It opens the home to more potential buyers. We're starting to see more buyers buy homes from a distance, maybe not coming to see the house till after they're under contract. And it allows sellers to reach more people with less hassle. It reduces unnecessary showings, which keeps health risks down, and it can be the best way to convey the experience of seeing the home remotely. You may or may not have seen representations like the one in front of you. This is what we'd call a 3D or a dollhouse model. There are a number of different companies that provide this, and what it does is it allows you at home on your computer or phone to tap in a particular room and zoom in that room and get a 360 view of what that room might be like, and in some cases walking from room to room throughout the house. These are things that good, experienced professional real estate agents will recommend to you or have access to when it makes sense to use in the marketing of your home. So, reviewing what we've talked about today, when preparing to sell your house, the first thing to do is to choose a professional realtor. You want to decide on the order of events. Are you going to sell the house while you're still living there, or are you going to move first? Are you going to declutter the house and get it prepared and pre-packed? Address any repairs or improvements that you might want to do. Stage the house for sale. and have your professional photography and video done. At this point, I want to open it up and we'll take a quick look at email and text to see if we've had any questions submitted. Okay. I'm going to wait just a minute because I haven't seen any yet.
About that. No questions came through on Facebook yet, but we'll be sure to circulate your information as well, so that if anything comes through, or if people catch the video after the live event, they can email you directly, and I'll compile anything that comes through on the comments and send it over to you.
Great. Thanks so much. I appreciate the opportunity to partner with Sparrow and to talk with you all today. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rob.